Welcome to the Media Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vadebonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
Kenton, today we're going to talk about what we've been watching over the summer. Of course, we're going back to work in about a week. It goes by so quickly, doesn't it?
It's crazy how fast it goes. You sort of forget about work. It's like a pre-retirement run a little bit, except with a horrible punchline. You're not retired at all.
But I do think we are lucky that we have jobs that give us this much time off. And it is like, it becomes apparent to me when I talk to other people and realize that they're all going to work every day. I don't have to do that. So that's kind of nice. But yes, what I've been doing over my holiday, I've been watching a lot of TV. It's what I do, watching a lot of TV and movies. So we're going to talk about that today and just go through the different shows we've been watching. But first, I want to follow up on a previous episode in which we were talking about layoffs in the media industry. And we were talking about there was Chorus Entertainment, which owns Global News, and there were what was the other one? Rogers had layoffs, which actually I should say I saw one of those was one of our one of our grads who worked at a Rogers station was laid off. Drew Kozub, I guess I can say, he posted about it. He was talking about it. He's been laid off. But also I found out that how it affects the global crew here in Winnipeg is that Global News as a entity has gotten rid of their local morning show. So basically they've cut that, and that's where the layoffs have gone. So basically they have a central show. It's like Canada AM. You remember that one on CTV? It's like a centralized show out of Toronto. So they're going to have like one show that goes across. Actually, no, it's not across Canada. It's just from Maritimes to Saskatchewan. Alberta and BC still have their own local shows. I assume because the population is enough to support those shows for advertising, but everywhere else, the audience has dropped so much that they're combining all those shows into one local show. So they're going to have like local weather and local headlines along the bottom of the screen for Winnipeg, but everything else is coming out of Toronto. And that's basically what's happening. So it gets that more of the death of local media happening. This is great.
I think CTV has a morning show too that I used to watch. I watched because they have a woman who does the weather, and then when she's sick, they have a doppelganger woman who does the weather, who looks just like her, and it's fun to try to figure out which one it is. So it was kind of a game that I used to play. But I don't think anybody. The idea of getting up in the morning and sitting down and turning on the TV to watch local news, I think that's pretty much done. And maybe national news, it's maybe pretty much done too.
By the way, one of those weather people is no longer at CTV. She's now, I don't know if she left.
Which one? The doppelganger or the other?
The morning show person. The morning show one is no longer there. Colleen is still there. Colleen's still doing the 6 o'clock news. I don't know who's doing their morning weather now. But you're right. They do still have a morning show. And but my frustration with that one is that it's not, you have to have cable to watch it. That's part of the problem, right? You cannot, like, they should be streaming that on YouTube, on Twitch or whatever. All these, like, put it where people are and people will watch it. Nobody has a cable subscription anymore, so nobody's going to discover that show. And that's the major issue with all this stuff. And the reason why they're continuing to have it, so like, you're right, the need for a morning show is not really there anymore, but it is a CRTC mandate that they have to produce this content. And I thought they must have changed it. I thought the mandate was they had to produce a local content. I got all up in arms a number of years ago when we had a radio station called Funny 1290. Remember that one?
Oh my God.
And I got angry and I emailed the CRTC about this because there was no local content. We had no local DJs. It was like one person with a recording, traffic and weather recording, and that was it. And everything else was like stand-up comedy bits. And I said, this is not a local station. This is not like in keeping with what you guys are asking stations to do. And the answer I got back was, we made an exception for this station because it's AM. And then less than a year later, that station was off the air. So like, this is the situation we're in, right?
Oh my God. I forgot all about that Funny. Is that still around? That Funny?
No, it's gone. It's gone.
It's already gone.
When I go through the radio stations in the beginning of second semester with my students, I have this slide with all of the different logos. And every year, and this happened for a number of years, like from year to year, I would have to take one logo off and change it. And I would like make that a transition in the slideshow. So this is what it was. And now it's this. And there would be 2 or 3 stations that would change because they've either been rebranded or flipped or whatever. Or in the case of 1290, I put it on a tombstone, put a little gravestone, put Funny 1290, and it's still there. It's still there because I do want to keep track of all the stations that die. in which there are no, like 1290 is not a frequency anybody broadcasts on here, right? So that is a dead frequency, and that's going to continue to happen. I think that we're going to continue to see radio stations drop off. This whole thing about like less local content, I feel like people could be making it up on YouTube. I would love to see someone here. I would do this if I had the time and motivation to do it, to start their own morning show, a local morning show on YouTube where they did their own thing and brought in people and talked to people. I think that could be really successful. But you know, nobody's going to do that. People are doing it in other places. I've seen different versions of that and different online and stuff like that, but it's certainly not going to happen here for a while.
Well, Dan, that's what Winnipeg Wilden is for. It's for all that local Winnipeg Wilden. Do you know about that?
No.
The students told me about it. Okay. And they're like, that's where we get all our news or whatever. This is a couple of years ago. So I'm definitely not damning the present day students with this, but students told me about it. And it is just basically like, I guess you can follow it on Instagram, Threads, probably Facebook, probably social media, let's say. And it's just all the bad news out of Winnipeg. It's stuck cars, people getting stabbed. It's like, it's drunk people falling over, like whatever it is. It's kind of like you could call it the worst of Winnipeg, probably, if you wanted to.
That would be a better Wilden. Is it because it's wild? Is Winnipeg?
Because it's wild. We're wildin'. We're wildin'.
There's another one I see on Instagram that's like that. It's not quite as sensational, but it is also not like super journalistic either. It's kind of like it's a little bit like TMZ. Not to get into that right now.
Yeah, a little. I know what you mean. It is a little bit like that. I always thought, like back in the day, back when newspapers ruled the world, I thought there was like a time for that, or a place for that, where that could be one form of news that, with all the others, that you could carve out that niche. But now it's almost like, I don't know, but like local, like, we talked about the local newspapers, the community newspapers getting axed. Okay. So it's almost like all local news is just kind of, people are just like, well, that's not for, that's not something that I engage with or certainly not willing to pay for. So you're once again stuck with kind of the CBC Manitoba stuff. If you want to go like the free or the taxpayer supported news you can get. And I think that's what I'm imagining that's what most Canadian people who want to get news with like serious news where they're going. But I even noticed, like, we've got a civic election coming up, and I'm not getting the feeling like lots of people are engaged with this. Like, lots of people hate the new bus routes. True. Lots of people are complaining about all kinds of local issues, violence.
I saw someone getting really angry about there's no composting program.
City, right. So the local issues continue. But I don't think people are necessarily putting two and two together and saying, oh, we're having a civic election and we can vote for city councilors and the mayor, the folks who are kind of oversee a lot of the stuff that are concerning to people. But I think that's what they used to call civics class, where you would learn that stuff.
Right.
But I do think there's actually a gap in people's understanding about that, based on a lot of the stuff that I see online anyway.
Local news is not profitable. That's the problem, right?
Right.
It's because of the population is smaller, because you don't get as many views on YouTube or whatever. You can't make as much money in this current system. So then it's not worth covering for the outlets that are run nationally. But if you had a group of people locally who really cared, I'm sure this is happening in some spots. It's just they're not, again, wild in Winnipeg. That's what we get. But again, if someone would actually make a concerted effort to make a really quality one and put the time and effort into it, I think that would be very, very cool. I would enjoy doing that.
Yeah, I think they're at one point, I remember, I'm not going to say the news outlet, but at one point I had this idea where we could work with a certain news outlet to sort of do like this community hub idea, where at that point we had, 160 students all living in different communities and stuff. And it was like, well, you could, if you had like a reporter in every community, particularly students who are learning, it would almost be like an internship thing where they would feed the news to the news hub, and you could do like a community map, which they were working on. They were working on all of this stuff. And long story short, the person who was coordinating it at the media outlet got laid off. Wah, wah, go figure. And so it was like 6 months of work that just went up in smoke kind of thing. And everyone just went, oh, well,
And
and moved on.
that's what we're seeing is, oh, well,
Yeah.
this is just
Yeah.
going away and nobody seems to care. But I care and it frustrates me. It frustrates me so
Yeah.
much. So anyway, okay, we'll continue following this. And then, of course, anybody has any opinions, please let us know. But
Dan,
I do want to go ahead.
Before you move on, you said you're keeping track of the radio, of the stations or the local stations that are closing. What about just any local media outlet? Like you're like you said, you're keeping track of just like radio stations or all?
Well, I mean, all the radio stations and almost most radio stations are also owned by the company that owns the TV station, right? So usually Bell Media has radio stations and a TV channel. They have CTV. Chorus has Global, and then CGOB and Power 97. That's usually how it is. There are a few radio only companies. Like Evanoff is probably the smallest one. Evanoff is, oh, by the way, that's another radio news. Mr. Dave Wheeler is no longer on the air. Did you hear about that?
Again?
Well, again, yes, again. Oh, this is I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Chris D reported on this. So this is a bit insider information. A friend of mine texted me and let me know. But there was this weird announcement from Wheeler. He posts on his Instagram, Dave Wheeler plus, and then he lists all these people, and it was Hal Anderson, Phil Aubrey, Rena, I don't remember her last name, but it was all the people. It turned out to be all the people he had worked with, and I didn't get that. I thought he was just naming all the other radio personalities in the city. Because it was that. All those people are still working at radio, and they're all still working here in the city because it's very insular. But the story was, and he was teasing it, and then saying, "I'm going to announce it on my podcast the next day." And so, because he has his little podcast on the. But the funny thing is, he was using like the Energy 106 account for it.
Oh,
so
no.
And the Energy 106 account talking about this. The announcement was that he's no longer going to be hosting the morning show. And he's just going to be maybe voice tracking and doing a little bit of voice work on Energy, but he's just kind of retiring from that to just focus on his podcast full time. It's the announcement. So translation, his contract was not renewed. And then he decided to try and put a good face on it. But I'm sure that's what happened. I can't see them continuing to. I don't think they're going to replace him. I think it's a guy, Tyler Carr is the guy who was also hosting with him. I think he's going to continue to host that morning show by himself. And that's what we're going to see is like continuing to cut down on like one person morning show. Then we're going to cut down. Like, I think obviously Energy is already very bare bones station as it is. But my guess is that Evanoff will be the first radio company to go under or to contract. I think they will contract. They will close down the stations that are like further away. Evanoff is based out of Atlantic, Canada, so they might stay in that area. But the stations here in Winnipeg will shut down, I think.
That's very interesting. See, basically my question was, it would be great to have a database of every like outlets as they close.
Sure.
Because it's like the announcements are just a blur in my head at this point. There have been so many of them. Yeah. And tracking like the death of this media, I don't know if there's anybody doing it.
No, and my focus has always been on the radio and the TV stuff, but most of what you're talking about has been print. I think we've seen a lot of print publications shut down over the years, and so there's probably somebody's keeping track of it. But I should go through, and so far we have not had any TV stations shut down, and the only radio frequency to go off was that 1290, which was just an AM frequency. And by the way, the only station still on AM is CGLB, which is still a very popular station, has a really dedicated audience. But I think it's only a matter of time before they switch over to FM, and then the whole AM thing gets shut down completely. I think that's definitely going to happen. So, anyway.
Well, I would also, even though other people might not, but I would say that local stations, shows shutting down to come out of a national outlet. People still get laid off. It's still there's still content showing up on TV at that hour. But it's not local content. I would say that's also a shutdown.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, because we also had that happen a number of years ago with, I could probably go back and figure this out. We had that happen. I remember when City TV first shut down its breakfast television. Remember breakfast television? And they still have it. So I think they still have it in Toronto, but they basically shut down their entire morning show. And I worked with one of those guys at CGOB when I first started at CGOB. I worked with a guy named Carlo who was the sound guy for the morning show there, and he got a job at CGOB after he got laid off. But he said it was just like, boom, don't come into work the next day, and that was it. They shut it all down, and then they continued to have a 6 o'clock newscast. But even that is like not a regular news. They do something weird with their newscasts, I think, at CBTV. I've not watched that for a while, actually. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about some more fun stuff. Sure. Okay, so what have you been watching this summer, Kenton? What's kind of the shows that have stood out to you as far as stuff you've been watching?
Well, I keep a running list, and so for the summer, and by the way, some of this is weekly stuff. Like, do you just want the list, or or just want a few?
Another time, let's pick a show, talk about it, and we'll just go back and forth, and see what we like.
Oh my! So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, but 12 TV shows, some specials, some films. Like there's so much. So I will highlight here. Well, this Sunday is the season finale of House of the Dragon. Game of Thrones on HBO. I really I don't like it as much as the Night of the Seven Kingdoms. The Seventh Kingdom. I always get that title wrong, but I'm really enjoying the season of House of the Dragon. I like the offshoot Game of Thrones shows, which I didn't expect to, but I like it. I'm looking forward to the finale this Sunday.
It's interesting. I didn't like the first season of that, but I don't know. Maybe I was just in a bad mood. It's good. I think maybe I was comparing it too much to Game of Thrones. I did like that Seven Kingdoms show. That was excellent. I didn't know those are based on a series of novellas that George R.R. Martin wrote. So it's also based on his work, which is excellent. By the way, you see he posted on his blog recently and opened up about it.
Did?
Yeah, I guess people keep getting on him about finishing the books, and he's very much sunk in a deep depression about that. So he's having
it's a running joke, if anything.
Yes.
And it's almost like Susan Lucci not winning the Emmy. Who cares at a certain point? Like that you become famous for that. So enjoy your fame for not writing novels. That sounds like a great.
He's famous for not having to do anything.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I will check that out. I've been seeing it, of course. I actually signed up for I had all my streaming services canceled, and then I decided to do a series of Spider-Man. I wanted to watch all the Spider-Man movies ahead of the new one. Yeah. Where can I find all the Spider-Man movies? And it turns out they're all on Crave. So of course they are, because those people at Crave do a good job of like bringing current and relevant movies to their catalog. So I decided to sign up for Crave. I got the bundle with Disney Plus. It was $15 a month for both Crave and Disney Plus. And I thought it would be a contract, but it's not. It's a cancel anytime situation, which is great. So like I'm going to keep that for as long as I need it and then cancel it. So I did get HBO, and I have seen the ad for the House of the Dragon. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
House of Dragons. That's great. And I will check that out. But what I've used my Crave TV subscription to do is, first of all, finish off The Nick, which is the one I was telling you about with Owen, and it's about the hospital in the turn of like 1901. It is a crazy show. It is so good. It's insane to me how good that show is. And every single episode is directed by Steven Soderbergh. Like the entire 2 seasons, 12 episodes a season or something like that, maybe 10. Steven Soderbergh did the whole thing. It's very, very cool. And the ending, I don't know like if they knew they were ending the show or not, but the ending works for both the end of a season and the end of the show. Like there was things that they could have picked up on in season 3, but I guess they didn't get picked up for season 3, so they just left it, and it's fine. The way it ends is really, really good. So I've really enjoyed The Nick.
All right, so the next one I'll do is Life, Larry, and the Pursuit of Unhappiness on HBO. That's Larry David show, and what I was about to say is it's hit and miss for sure. But there's enough hits that I'm sticking with it. I think they should have actually called it Curb the Early Years, where it's just him inserted wherever in history. It doesn't need to be American history. It doesn't need to be that specific. You could put him in any situation, and it's going to just be him complaining about whatever it is. And it'll probably be funny if you like Larry David. And so there's a few things that stand out to me on the show, like Rob Reiner's last performance is in one of the episodes. He's got lots of big stars who show up unannounced as well in the episodes. I don't think that the little cuts, like with Samuel L. Jackson's voiceover. So it is basically a sketch comedy show. But I don't think that format works for it. I don't think it really. I think like, hey, make a whole episode one part of history, and like just like explore it to its fullest, and then move on to the next one. But if Larry David is there and he's complaining, you're gonna get and I think it's been like maybe I would say one good sketch per show is what I think it is. And with not too many left to go. In fact, the finale might be this Sunday. I'm not sure about that.
I saw, again, I only watched the first episode, which is like about the founding of America, and they have the scene where he plays Livingston, who wrote the first draft of the Declaration of Independence. That's a good sketch where like they're going through all the minor complaints that he's like, I can't remember what they were now.
Yeah. Something that should have.
No moving to another line in the checkout. Once you pick a checkout, like that, it's ridiculous stuff, like modern references in this historical context. Funny. I think it reminds me a little bit about Drunk History because of the celebrity cameos and all that stuff. So that, but I think you're right. I think the Drunk History, what that does well is that it tells one story per episode, and that's it. And it focuses on one thing. Whereas this does jump. It's like, okay, here's 4 or 5 sketches about the American Revolution or whatever it is. Right. And I don't know what the other episodes are about, but yeah, it's funny. It's Larry. If you like Larry David, you'll like that one.
Well, it's not as good though as an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I agree, it's not as good as that. But I think if they would have framed it as, no, this is Curb Your Enthusiasm, the early years where people like him. It could be his ancestors.
Yes. These are his great grandfather.
Right.
Yeah, that would work.
Yes, and you could put them in all kinds of scenarios. World War II, for crying out loud. Like you have then. I think then people would get the concept of the show a little more. I just don't think the framing of it is quite right. There's something, and I'm Canadian, so what do I want to see a whole show about Larry David in American history?
Well, that kind of takes you to where they could go for the second season. This again, they'll do world history and they'll do like things like the Treaty of Versailles or something like that. Or like here's situations. Well, cool. I will definitely watch the rest of that before my Crave TV subscription ends. We'll stick with Crave TV, and what happened after I finished watching the Nick, I really got in the mood for good historical drama. Like that's really what I appreciate about that show is the detail and just seeing what things were like back then. There's always what I appreciate about the modern shows that have historical context is they show us people like LGBTQ people in that time, right? There was gay people back then too. And that, so there's people like that, and there's always racial tension because it's right after the Civil War and there's still very, very racist practices in place. And there's always a black character struggling to get into that. So that's really interesting. And so another show that is in the same area is The Gilded Age. Did you watch The Gilded Age?
I watched one episode of The Gilded Age and I was like, it's not really for me. I can't say I disliked it. I just, we make decisions and I just decided, and I just kind of went, like, I like the actors in it. First show didn't grip me, but I didn't, loved the production of the show, but I just decided not to continue, but maybe I should have continued. Go ahead.
It's good. It's basically and I did the same thing actually. I watched the first show and I said, I don't know, because it's kind of like Downton Abbey, but in the States.
Right.
It's basically rich people and their lives, and then the servants who work for them. And then this one is actually about kind of 2 households. It's about like it's old wealth and new wealth. So we have this family who's very rich, who've been at its great performances. Christine Baranski, Cynthia Nixon is in it. Who else? There's a few known people, but mostly character actors, but very good performances. And they are like this rich family who's been there basically since the Mayflower landed. That's kind of the idea, is like these are the founding fathers of New York. We were here first. And then they have all these new rich people, Nouveau Rich, which is like the other characters is Carrie Coon and her husband, he's like a railroad magnate, and he's made a ton of money in railroads. And so they built this massive mansion like in New York. It's this huge house with this massive ballroom, but everybody hates them. Everybody, like, they're all so snobby. And the irony is that they kind of introduced them to their character. Christine Baranski and Cynthia Nixon are sisters. One of them is widowed, but has all the wealth of her former husband, who's now passed away. And they're the aunts of this girl who comes in from another city, and she's staying with them because she's a young woman she can't exist by herself in this world, right? Women, she can't even go out in the street without an escort at this point. Like, it's really weird. So she's introduced to this whole thing, and it's just a really interesting look at society. On the way to New York, when she's going there, she meets a young black woman who's also traveling to New York. They become friends, and then the black woman starts working for the aunts, and the aunts are like nice to her. And maybe there's like, we'll have to wait and see. Like, I don't know if they're still like really racist or whatever, but they're offering her job, they're helping her out, and then yet they hate the people across the street just because they're new money. They will not go to their party. They will not do anything, and it's just this really interesting like look at how society was back there, and of course the division between the wealthy and the poor as well. I've really loved it. I've really had a good time, and again, great attention to detail, great costume, set design, everything looks super authentic. That one's a little bit earlier. That one's like late 1800s, like 1880s, I think, is when it takes place. So it's a really interesting time in history, I think.
Excellent. Good recommendation.
No.
All right. I will go to The Fall and Rise of Reggie Dinkins, which is Tracy Morgan and Daniel Radcliffe. Okay.
Yeah. This. Where is it? What's it on?
I have it as part. I got it on demand as part of my cable package, and I actually don't know. I looked it up. It's like available for free. Great. So I watched the whole thing, but I don't know where it originates.
Okay, that's an interesting.
The world we live in. It might be AMC. It might not be. But it's Tracy Morgan is a retired football player, and Daniel Radcliffe is a documentarian shooting about his life. And he's a washed up football player, and he's disliked by many. And so he's Reggie Dinkins, played by Tracy Morgan. He wants like a good PR video, and Daniel Radcliffe wants to make like a real documentary. And that's where some of the friction is. There's it's done in the style. I think a lot of the writers are from 30 Rock, and for which of course Tracy Morgan was on before. And it kind of has that quick whip smart dialogue. Like they don't spend too much time on every scene. It's pretty quick, but I thought it was it definitely made me laugh out loud a lot. Mm-hmm. It's like, I think it's 8 episodes, 26 minutes each, that kind of thing. It's just like pow, 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 pow. She goes by so fast. But I liked it, and I want to see more about Reggie Dinkins in future seasons, which I'm sure there will be, because I think it's a really good series.
Yeah, it's I love Daniel Radcliffe's career. I gotta say,
so good.
Harry Potter, that guy's done all kinds of cool stuff. He's not afraid to take risks. He'll do weird movies. He'll do TV. Like, for a guy of that level of fame to do a TV show, I mean, that would have been unheard of 20 years ago, right? Like, you just would see in the movies. But yeah, that's awesome. I will definitely watch that. And Tracy Morgan, of course, is hilarious. I haven't seen
so funny.
Okay. Well, that's great. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about, I'm watching one with my son, Luke, who is a huge Dungeons and Dragons fan. Luke plays Dungeons and Dragons every week. He has a group with his friends. And so we've been watching a show called Vox Machina. Have you heard of this one?
I have.
It's an animated show. It's on Prime. And what it is based on kind of a podcast or a YouTube show called The Critical Role, which you may have heard of, which is basically just a bunch of people sitting around playing D&D. And it's been around for a long time. And it's like the kind of show about D&D. It's the one that started all the trend of like just D&D play along shows on YouTube. The Critical Role is a big one. It's high kind of high visibility. And so what they did is they did their campaign, whatever, on their show, and they took that story and then they made it into an animated show. So each one of these characters is based on someone's character during the game, and the beats of the plot are things that happened to them during their campaign that they created in a D&D session, which is really cool. And the result is a very funny, very gory. Sometimes I get uncomfortable watching it with my 15-year-old, but he's 15, so I think he can take it. It's plus it's cartoon, so it's fine.
Yeah.
It's like Invincible, right? You watch Invincible and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
And there's a little bit of sexual content to make us uncomfortable, but we all go la 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 la. We've been having a great time watching it. We're almost on the first season. There's 5 seasons of it on Prime. And then there's another series that we'll probably watch afterwards. That's the same thing. They did the same thing with another campaign. I don't remember the name of that show. But it's basically they did another campaign and they wrote another show based on that and then put it on Prime. So that's a really good one as well. Vox Machina. It's called.
Oh, that's a good. I'm writing it down right now.
D&D, super, like it's basically like a fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing. So it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that one.
Excellent. Um, I am going to recommend for my next one, Amanda Land
Oh,
that's on CBC Gem,
okay.
and it stars a Lucy Punch, British comedian, as Amanda in the title, and it also features try to remember her name. She's the posh woman on Absolutely Fabulous.
Oh,
She's her mother. I just can't think of her name.
oh, I think I've seen clips of this show. Is this like where she like the mom has sex on the couch or something like that? And there's
Right,
condom
right. That's the show. That's the show.
a clip from that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's her name again?
I
I
just
know who you're
can't think
talking
of it.
about. From Abby
Right. The posh woman from Absolutely Fabulous is going to make me crazy not remembering her name. But anyway, what I like, I mean, it's 2 seasons. I heard there's going to be a 3rd season, but it's good British comedy fun. Once again, short episodes. I think Lucy Punch as Amanda is
Jennifer
so
Saunders.
funny.
Jennifer
What's
Saunders.
it?
Is it
Yeah, I
Jennifer
think
Saunders?
that's her name, right?
Or is it Joanna Lumley? Joanna Lumley, it might be the posh one. I don't remember.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Joanna Lumley.
Okay.
That's her.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's her. I was trying to look it up, half look it up here as I was talking to you. So I'm like, but yeah, I've confirmed that's the name. But I like that in the show. So the main character, Amanda, thinks of herself as an influencer. And though people keep saying, but you don't have any followers. She's like, no, that doesn't matter. You don't need any followers to be an influencer. So it's like some funny stuff on the show. And there's also there's a couple of side characters on the show who are so well played and who are so funny in their own right that you're like, who is this comedian? And so you go look, you're looking up a lot of names while you're watching the show because you're like, who's this comedian? It's just a very well played and funny show, and like the kind of show that the Brits do so well, where you're just it's charming at the same time, it's hilarious at the same time, like you can see yourself in some of the characters. I just got such a kick out of this show. But it's Amanda Land on CBC Gem. One word, Amanda Land.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'll check that out for sure. Although hopefully, how's Gem for the ads? Is it still bad?
Got better. Got better. Okay. Well, although it's not perfect, because once in a while you still get the scene not quite over ad come back if scene ends once in a while. But there's fewer interruptions and the commercials are 20% more seamless than they used to be. So it's a little better.
All right, we'll stick with one more from Crave. This is a weird. I like to watch space shows. I always try to have at least one space show going, where they're in space for some reason. And this one, I just, it fit that category. It's the only reason I started watching it, even though I found it to be a bit weird in tone, and I still haven't quite nailed down why it is that way, because I can't figure out who produced it. But it's called The Ark. It's on you know this one?
I saw a preview for it, I think. Yeah.
It's on Crave. I don't know where the original production is from. It feels British to me. It just feels British in tone, but there's a lot of actors on it who don't. There's some British accents, some not British accents. Apparently it's produced and directed by Dean Devlin, who did Independence Day and the Godzilla movie. He worked with Roland Emmerich. Those guys were like a big power duo back in the 90s, but this is kind of what he's doing now. And the whole show is about basically humanity, that we've killed the earth, we've destroyed the earth, so now we're sending people out into these space arcs to go out and colonize other planets. And so the premise is, this is one of those ships. It's a giant ship that's in the middle of space going to another planet, and something has happened, some disaster has happened that is like killed half the people on the ship. They're all in cryo sleep, and then so of course something hits the ship and then knocks out a bunch of the cryopods. So now these people have to deal with the fact that they're in the middle of space, they have no water, no food. They're not, like, they have a year until they're supposed to get to their destination and set to survive. And it's an interesting scenario. The acting isn't great at times, but I just get the fact that I feel like there's nobody you would know in this, like no famous faces at all. It's all kind of like newer people, but it's an interesting show, and I like that situation. It does remind me of, we can talk about movies maybe a little bit. I did watch Project Hail Mary on Prime, and it's kind of like that, where it's like you person in the middle of space solving problems is what it is, but with more than just Ryan Reynolds or Ryan Gosling and a rock. So things.
Are we gonna? I've got movies and specials too. How much time have we got left? How many more each are we?
Let's do 2 more each. We'll leave it at that. And then so do a movie for one.
Oh, I'll tell you. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a special
Yeah.
actually, because I'm so surprised that I love this, but I do, and that is The Punisher: One Last Kill on Disney Plus. Do you know about this?
No, I
It
got
is.
Disney.
It is the last. I think it's going to be the last episode in the Punisher series. The the live action Punisher series with the guy who's in the new Spider-Man movie playing the Punisher there
Yeah,
too.
the guy who was in the Odyssey and the guy who was in the
Yeah.
Bear, and he's in all kinds of stuff. That guy.
Yeah, and I still can't remember his name. But anyway, yeah. Should I look that one up now? That only takes me about 20 minutes. Yeah, forget it. Anyway, that is like the Punisher meets John Wick, where you it's I don't think it's a long, I think it's less than an hour, the final episode, and I think it is the final episode of the live action show, but and apparently the actor had a lot of say in the production and in the script and stuff, but it is just
John Bernthal.
yeah, John, yes, of course.
I knew
Also,
it.
also appearing with Clive Owen in BMW films from about 10 years ago, which
Right.
shows
Walking
right.
Dead. Walking Dead was the first
Yes.
thing we way back when. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so I just love it. As I said, it's like John Wick. You can't not love it. It's him just shooting bad guys left or they've established them as being total assholes in the first 10 minutes or whatever. And then he goes to town. You're like, please serve me up some more Punisher because it's so good. And apparently the Punisher he plays in the Spider-Man movie is like a sanitized, clean, like buddy comedy Punisher in that movie. Whereas this one, it's like hard as nails, like mature rating, a little more grit.
I mean, that's what the Punisher should be, right? That in
Yeah.
the modern media landscape, the Punisher should be John Wick. That's exactly what that is. So
Yeah.
that's very cool. I'll check that out. I had, like I said, I have it at Disney Plus. I do have it now, but I have not done a lot of exploring as far as like what's new on that channel or anything like that. So yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna recommend an older TV show. I've also been trying to find some older shows to catch up on. And the one that I've really been enjoying watching on the Roku channel, which is free with your Roku device. So I don't think you have a Roku, but anybody who has this would be able to access this through their streaming service. And it is Magnum PI. I'm watching Magnum PI, which of course I'm sure you know is a very popular TV show from the 80s. And it wasn't always available. Like I was watching the A-Team on Roku and then that went away. So it wasn't available for free anymore. They would still have it streaming on their little streaming channels, but you couldn't watch it one episode at a time. Whereas Magnum PI was not available. You would only be able to get it through like buying one episode at a time on like Apple TV or whatever, or on iTunes. But now it's all available, like 8 or 9 seasons of it. And I'm surprised at how good it is. I didn't think it was going to be that good. I'm like, I'll just see how much I enjoy it. But I'm really enjoying it. Some of it I do remember as a kid when I watched it. I do remember some parts of it. My parents would watch Magnum PI. But I learned 3 things watching these first few episodes, first half of the season, really, the first season, that I didn't know about Magnum PI. Number 1, somebody died in the production of it. Did you know that?
No, I had no idea.
Early on, before the show even aired, there was an accident with a helicopter, with a famous, colorful helicopter they have, that TC flies around the island. They were shooting some sequence with that, and the pilot went too close to the water, and then a wave caught it, and it flipped over, and someone died. So then that was at the end of the episode where it said this episode is dedicated to this person. So I'm shocked that it even got made after that. Like if somebody dies in the first, you think that they would shut it all down, but they did not. So that was something interesting. The other thing I learned is that the iconic Magnum PI theme song that we all know and love was not the original theme song for Magnum PI. It was a much different song to begin with, and it's kind of it had this like string thing happening, and it's like a little bit of a going on. It's not as good of a song. It's really not. And so for the first, I think 12 episodes, it's this weird song and a weird opening, because it's not like the basic, because they really like stuck, once they got it nailed down, they kept the opening the same for a long time. And what was interesting is that I started kind of realizing, oh yeah, this is a different episode or different intro. And then I noticed, like during one of the episodes, during an action scene, the regular theme song would come in. So I think the regular theme song was written to be like filler for different stuff in the show. And then someone said, this is a much better song. Let's just make this the theme song. Like midway through for first season, they just changed that to the theme song, and they changed the opening so that it focuses on the helicopter more. And that's it. And then the third thing I learned about Magnum PI is that some of the early episodes were directed by Robert Loggia.
Oh, yeah.
You might remember from many films. He's been in Big and Independence Day. He's a great actor. And in the first episode of Magnum PI, he plays Magnum's former commander, Vietnam commander, because Magnum is a Vietnam vet. And so there's a story involving his former platoon and the commander. So Robert Loggia is in that episode. But after that, several episodes say directed by Robert Loggia. So he stayed on to be a director in the first season, which I think is really interesting. And this would have been before he hit it big. He would have been just like a regular character actor at that point, not super famous. I think that's an interesting thing. So Magnum PI, I'm having a lot of fun watching. And I know you can't watch it, but anybody else out there who has a Roku.
Well, I watched it when it was originally on Magnum PI. So I probably saw virtually every episode back when it was originally aired. And the theme, I just double checked. It's written by Mike Post, who's probably known as the greatest TV theme writer, one of them, but maybe the greatest. Who also wrote the Unstoppable Rockford Files theme, which is just like my favorite. I could just listen to that on repeat all day. It's so good. So that's great. Yeah. And Tom Selleck is also a great, like, you really appreciate the acting, Tom Selleck, in that show. He's so good in that show.
Yeah. It's a completely forced character, and the entire cast, like, and then there's not enough women on the show. And the joke is that he has a different girl every week. And basically, but like the other guys, like the guy who plays Higgins and TC and Rick, like his buddies and all that stuff, they're all so good and such great characters and interesting stories. I would say, like, some of these stories are really interesting. They're new like stuff that, the A-Team, and Mike Post wrote the A-Team song as well. But that kind of fell into a formula after a while, where it's always the A-Team helping out like a small business who's being like pressured by the mob or by corporate interests or something. That became the formula of the A-Team, whereas that has not happened so far in Magnum PI, where every episode seems to be a very different thing. It's interesting. I really enjoyed it. Magnum PI is a fantastic show, and I hope hopefully I can get through all 9 seasons before it goes away, because the rights will change before I'm done. That's what happened with the A-Team. I got through 4 seasons of the went away, and I still haven't watched season 5 of the A-Team. But that's okay, because that's not as good of a season.
I live in a complete panic of that happening every time I start a show. I like try to do some research, but it's often they don't announce they're removing it until 2 days before they do it. And that's horrible when that happens. And that's and probably in an upcoming podcast we should talk about, they're not going to make physical video games anymore. We're living in the you don't own anything you own era.
We're already there.
Yeah. Right. Future discussion for sure. All right. My last recommendation, I'll make a film. I watched Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. And by law, you have to tell people it has nothing to do with Nirvana, the band, with Kurt Cobain in it. Please. Yes. Spelled with 2 N's. Nirvana, well, 3 N's, 2 in the middle, or 2 at the end. And, so you have to say that. I wish they would have called it something different, but I guess that's what they called the original show that the movie is based on. And Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll are the 2 Canadian actors who are in it, and also the filmmakers. And Matt Johnson directed a movie I really liked and recommended, the Blackberry movie, that was shot in Canada. And that was on CBC Gem, but they had extras footage, so it became, I think they had it there as a TV show, 2 or 3 parts. Though I think the shorter version is 1 contained film. I think it's available in both formats depending on where you go, which I just love that movie. I thought it was so well done. But Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, is interesting in that it's sort of like a Borat, where you don't know what you're watching. Is it real? Is it not real? What are the parts of the film that's written? What are the parts of the film that aren't written? It's a time travel movie. It pays tribute to Back to the Future. There's some very clever editing stuff and things that happen in the film that make you question what you're watching. There's a stunt that the film starts with that makes you wonder, once again, The whole film was like, did this really happen? Did this, the time travel didn't really happen, but did this really, is what I'm watching here in front of me, did this really happen, or is this special effects? So it's very clever. I think Borat is probably the closest to what this film is. I'm trying to think of a film that makes you wonder if what you're seeing is reality. And I think Borat had some of that, where you didn't know who was an actor and who wasn't an actor. And this has similar stuff in it.
Cool.
So I like it. I just like I don't think it's the greatest movie ever made, but I think it's a strong Canadian film. I probably like Blackberry more, to tell you the truth, but this is a strong film made in Canada for a decent budget that has found success around the world. And I think in England in particular, it's been a hit film. So I recommend it. Nirvana with two N's, the band, the show, the movie.
I've seen they've got a lot of clips on YouTube. I think that's where those guys started out, is on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they have a show on, what is that? Viceland or whatever. Remember that TV channel that had? There was a show on that, and it's so funny. Like, look up We Shop Channel song is that one of their biggest videos. It's so funny what they do. So yeah, I definitely will watch that. I have not had a chance to watch it yet, but I absolutely will check on that. By the way, that Matt Johnson, his next movie is the Anthony Bourdain movie. He directed that.
Yeah. I can't think of a show I'd want to see less than young Anthony Bourdain, except, maybe I'm the wrong person for that movie, but if that's his film and there's a reason, I find out a reason why this is the good
maybe
film.
He's a Anthony Bourdain fan, right? Maybe he's been,
maybe. Yeah, it's a weird follow-up, that's for sure. Just one more thing on the movie. It's hard to find, like, I think I streamed it. Oh, I bought it on Apple TV for 99 cents. And then in a classic twist, it became free the next day on some other one that I subscribed to. And I was like, oh, okay. But I can't remember where. And I remember I checked CBC Gem and it wasn't there. But now I think now that it's been released, it's all over the place. And the show itself is hard to find. I see it advertised for Hulu, but I think the Canadian licensing might be all screwed up. So I looked for it on Canadian Hulu, Disney Plus, and I didn't see it, but who knows? So good luck finding it. But I think maybe Crave has it now as part of the package. Maybe.
I think Crave has the movie. I don't know about the show.
Yeah,
that's where Vice was. Vice was part of that at some point.
Yes, it was.
Anyway, but that's not around anymore. All right, well, I'm going to end with a movie as well, and I'm going to end with a movie that probably surprised me the most this summer, that I did not think I was going to like, because it seemed like the biggest nostalgia cash grab of the year. But actually, I thought it was a pretty good movie, and that is Masters of the Universe, which is Prime. And I didn't like the trailer. I didn't like the look of it, but I gotta tell you, as soon as that movie starts and you hear this awesome synth rock score that it does, it perfectly fits in that vibe. And it's not a perfect movie. Like, there are definitely issues, and there are definitely some parts of it that are very clunky, but overall I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun watching it. There's fun little nods. They acknowledged the Dolph Lundgren film. They even have characters from the Dolph Lundgren film that were not in the original Masters of the Universe kind of canon. And it's really, it embraces the silliness of all of it, and really does bring to life these toys that I had when I was a kid. I was a huge Masters of the Universe He-Man. I had all the toys. And so it really does, there's a lot of these guys that, oh, wow, I remember that guy, and it looks just like him. And the fighting is cool. The one bad thing, of course, I don't know, Jared Leto is not in anybody's good books right now, but there was no point in casting him in that role. He's Skeletor, but you can't see his face and you can't hear his voice because they changed his voice. So what's the point in having a big name actor do that? I don't know. This doesn't seem good, but especially now what's happened with him. But anyway, I really enjoyed the movie. It's got a phenomenal soundtrack, great action sequences, some very clunky jokes that you'll probably like because they're awkward, but that's a funny thing. And I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. Surprisingly good, for what it was.
Today they released the song by Brian May from Queen and The Darkness.
Yeah.
And I didn't have time. I was watching it before we did this podcast, but I watched the beginning of the song. It's just like a static picture. There's no video for it. And it's the unmistakable guitar playing of Brian May that starts the song. And my second Master of the Universe story is they have a tie-in Cat Treats. Do you buy Temptations for your cats?
Once in a while, yes.
Yeah, they have 2 Masters of the Universe flavors.
Because he's
And
got a cat, because he's got
right,
a battle cat.
right. And the one that I bought for my cats, they love it. They go insane for it. So at first they kind of looked at it like suspiciously, but now it's their favorite. So I like, talk about a film tie-in you don't expect to see.
That's good. Yeah, I've not seen much else in terms of tie-ins for it, but the cat is like, obviously the thing about it is that it's obviously a CGI movie. Like everything was shot on the blue screen. You can see, but that's fine. It looks good. The effects are good. The visuals are really spectacular. And yeah, the music, like it's all the Darkness did the score with Brian May, but it's also got like it's got classic Queen. It's got like all kinds of. It's got The Cure. It's got all kinds of other stuff in it. Oh, there's some really good songs in it. Trying to think of another one. He's the man. He's the man. Oh yeah, they also reference. There's a what's the song? What's going on? You know that song? What is that?
Oh yeah,
song?
of course. That's Four Non-Blondes.
Thank you. That's in it because there's a meme, a He-Man meme. Apparently, I didn't know about this till my kid showed it to me. But like, there's a meme of the cartoon He-Man singing that song, and so there's a huge sequence when they're running, and that's the song playing, and that's all a reference to the meme. So it's like it's self-referential, it's funny, it just embraces the silliness of it, and I really enjoyed it. There we go.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, and that's it. I think we don't need to give any recommendations because we've just done an episode.
Good list.
Finish off that, but that'll do it. Next week we're going to just to tease what we're going to do next week. We're going to watch the new Star Wars series. What's it called again?
The Ninth Jedi, which is it's based on one of the, remember in the first season we watched Star Wars Visions, and I think we didn't like the second season of Visions, right? I believe, but to be confirmed, I believe the Ninth Jedi is a spin-off of one of those cartoons, maybe first and second series, maybe just first. Have not confirmed that yet, but I think it's 8 episodes of short shows, and I only saw the preview panes, which look like it's very artistically done. So let's give it a watch. Let's see what they got for us.
Give it a watch. We'll talk about it next week, as well as any other Star Wars news that has come up in the last little while. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Media Nerds. I'm Dan Dadewalker.
And I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force or the door hit you in the ass.